You're listening to Podcast PXN,
a video game podcast
delivering player experience news.
Let's go! Yo, what is up, guys? Welcome to Podcast PXN, episode 120. PXN Player Experience News. I am one of your hosts, your favorite Portland Mexican Christian Macias, and I'm joined over Discord today by Kentucky's number two Spartan. I'm just kidding. Daniel Prindle, aka Dan is DTM.
Who's the number one?
Gage.
Thank you.
The Nintendo aficionado, Roro. And did someone say Canada? That's right, it's the Gage White North. Thank you to everyone watching us live and participating in the chat. Just as a reminder, we are live each and every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern on YouTube. Just search Podcast PXN, as well as on twitch.tv/Podcast PXN. Guys, the show always starts with the PXN news of the week, so let's go ahead and jump right in. Of course, we started doing quick bites here on the show. It's some small news to munch on before we get into the main course of the big news of the week. Our first quick bite is, hello, welcome to the redesign of Podcast PXN. Same name, same us, but we might have changed the abbreviation there. No longer PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo, although we do talk about that stuff. We are now Player Experienced News. Thank you to Dan for all the hard work he did on putting the intro together, and as well as redesigning all the stuff and changing the RSS feed. So everyone say thank you, Dan. Big clap.
No, thank you to all of you guys. You guys contributed just as much as I did.
You're a beautiful man, Daniel.
Yeah.
Well, that's debatable.
I would swipe right.
I would.
Our next and only quick bite here. It's kind of a big story, to be honest. I originally had this in the big news stuff, but we have kind of a longer tots, I'm assuming, and then we have some some meaty stuff in news of the topic, like news. So I was like, you know what? Let's move this over to quick bites. We can say it, maybe mention it, talk about it a little bit, and then move on. For those that are curious, though, you can check out the full story over at Game Informer, because I am, of course, talking about the story behind Rockstar's canceled Bully 2. It is a long and very in-depth article over on Game Informer. I was reading this article a few days ago when I was putting the show doc together, and then today as well, revisiting it to see if I was going to put it in the news or not. But it was really cool, just talking about Rockstar New England and about some of the stuff that they were working on the sequel to Bully, and how some of that stuff ended up going into Red Dead Redemption 2. Of course, talks a lot about crunch. And then what eventually happened to the scrap sequel. So if you're curious, if you're a Bully fan, check out the full article. Some very great reporting here.
Did you guys play the original Bully? I never played it.
I missed it as well.
Gotcha.
I have a vague memory of me playing it on PS2 at someone's house, but never on my own.
I played it in real life at school.
Wait,
no.
On which side of it?
Oh,
which
no.
side of it?
Yeah, exactly. That's the important question, Dan. Exactly.
We'll never know.
Gage is secretly in Cobra Kai or something. I've been watching Cobra Kai. And that's it. That's all our quick bites. That's all I got.
That was quick.
That was very quick. Thank you, Gage. Very, very on brand with the name. Ready for some news?
Yes, sir.
Of course. This is on everyone's mind. NFTs. Of course, every week we have to bring back NFT discourse. When I think it's going to be over and that we're not going to bring it back in the show, somebody brings it in. Oh, hold on. Glenn's writing something in the chat about me doing something. What'd I do? Christian, don't do us like that. Gage is not even close to as good as Big Dan is.
I think he's referring to calling him this number 2 Spartan.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Glenn.
Glenn?
Appreciate that, Glenn.
Oh,
I appreciate
we're going to have
that.
a talk next time you're down here.
Glenn's the real MVP.
Let's talk, Glenn. Let's talk. Of course, NFT guys, Square Enix CEO Yosuke Matsuda fully embraces NFT, the metaverse, and blockchain-based games in a public New Year letters. This was on the first day. We started off 2022 in games with this. This is the very first news item I saw about games. A travesty. So I'm pulling a quote here from the article. I think as a Bloomberg article. Here we go. By contrast, blockchain games, which have emerged from their infancy and are at this very moment entering a growth phase, are built upon the premise of a token economy and therefore hold the potential to enable self-sustaining game growth. The driver that most enables such self-sustaining game growth is diversity, both in how people engage with interactive content like games and in their motivations for doing so. Advances in token economies will likely add further momentum to this trend of diversification. I see the play to earn concept that has people so excited as a prime example of this. I realize that some people who play to have fun, quote unquote, and who currently form the majority of players have voiced their reservations towards these new trends. Duh. And understandably so. However, I believe that there will be a certain number of people whose motivation is to, quote, play to contribute, unquote, by which I mean to help make the game more exciting. My question for you guys, PXN crew, is exciting for whom? Because I was reading the replies, everyone was quote tweeting the F out of this. To me, in-game economies just don't seem worth anything outside of the actual game. You can't even change it. Like, let's say you have a Ubisoft game with NFTs in it. You can't translate that over to another Ubisoft game because it's only living in one game. Further, like developing practices around blockchain-based games, these economy-driven games, to me seems antithetical to what we look for in games, which is to have fun and to have like transformative experiences, not to own something that we bought with whatever cryptocurrency or in-game money just for the sake of having it. So I don't know. My question is like, is this exciting? Do you want blockchain games in your Square Enix games? Life is Strange NFTs? I don't know. What do you guys think?
Rose's reaction to that.
Yeah, leave Life is Strange out of this. I really don't know. I mean, obviously, I'm not for NFTs, like non-fungible token. It's more like no fucking thanks, if you know what I'm saying. But I feel like I've got to be missing something because these companies just keep on, like, it seems like a domino effect that everybody just seems to be getting onto this train, and I don't understand why. Besides, I guess the obvious aspect, which is the money and I guess that's really it, because gamers have been very outspoken about not wanting this in their games, but it seems like the higher ups are not caring and they just keep implementing it. And I could only foresee that EA is next, and who knows who's after that, but it doesn't seem to be slowing down, unfortunately. But here's hoping that I don't even know what to hope for besides them not doing it. But yeah, I don't know what it's going to look like. I'm kind of worried, but yeah, man, I don't want this in my game, and there's so much buzzwords in this that I really don't even know. It makes it even more confusing to understand. But them putting "play to have fun" in quotes is just everything that I need to know about what they're doing. So yeah, I'm not on board yet. I hope probably will never be.
Yeah, I echo all of your sentiments, Ro. And it's this thing where it's literally like loot boxes all over again, because loot boxes were a big thing and everybody wanted to get in on the loot box action, and then all of a sudden they started getting sued for loot boxes because of the random nature that was being attributed to gambling. So it's a little trickier though with NFTs, because it's like NFTs isn't going to necessarily be labeled as like gambling, because it's, you know, you're paying for an item, a single item or whatever the NFT ends up being. So it gets a little muddier, I think. So if the publishers, you know, put out these NFTs and they end up selling super well, it's only going to further, you know, impact the industry, and we'll continue to see more of this. And it's, I hope that doesn't happen, but yeah, I'm afraid.
Yeah, it's just yet another sign of video games becoming so big that a lot of publishers and people that own the IP to these massive franchises, they're no longer art, they're business. And we're seeing that more and more. Like you said, loot boxes were the thing, and then it's battle passes, and now it's in-game stores. I mean that's always been a thing, but it's unfortunate because it's kind of like it's inevitable, right? When video games get this big, but like even the past 22 years, from 2000 until now, in 2000, video games were very much a nerd hobby. You wouldn't go around branding about that you play video games. Now, most people play video games. More people play video games than don't play video games. So they've gotten so big, and that's led to so many great games. But unfortunately, it just means that they're getting more and more corporate, and they're going to find more ways to use the word diversity, ways to diversify milking your players for money is what they're concerned about. So, yeah, no, I'm not excited at all. I don't like NFTs in general. It's a dumb idea. And there is a really good clip of Keanu Reeves giving an interview where somebody asked about NFTs and he just laughed. And he's right, because it's digital. There is nothing unique about anything digital. It's all code. Everything down to its core is ones and zeros and can be replicated. So NFTs separate from video games is a dumb idea. NFTs in video games is extra dumb. No, thank you. Please.
And yet, no matter how much we fight against it, it seems like it is inevitable. Another Bloomberg article regards to this. This one I couldn't read because it was behind a paywall, which is ironic. The CEO's letter triggered an 8% jump in stock price, which again begs the question, are games being made for investors first? And like, that was always kind of the case, right? Like, you've got to make investors happy. You're making decisions based off not just like what the public wants and like what consumers want to buy, or what we want to buy and play as gamers, but also like, you know, what is going to make our investors money. Like, it's always a back and forth, a pull here and there, right? So I understand that, but yeah, when everyone seems to be vehemently against NFTs, and we've seen it, multiple companies try to go that way, and then like the next day immediately turn back. We're just like, you know what? We've heard you. We're not doing it. Again, this just seems very antithetical, and I don't know. I guess I'm curious to see how it shakes out, but I'm also not excited about it. So
I think
we'll see.
I think that's also like a side effect of like the video games industry getting so big, because like the video game industry went from being like a super niche art form to now it's a huge conglomeration where you have investors and all of these other people you have to satisfy. So definitely a lot trickier nowadays.
Well, like you say, Christian, you've always had this balancing act between satisfying investors and satisfying players, but the problem is that the pendulum has swung from one end to the other, because when the community was niche and it wasn't as sort of mainstream, how you made investors happy was you made the game players wanted, because that you had to make your money back. So you made the games better because you wanted to sell to players, because there was a limited audience. Whereas nowadays, everyone, especially free-to-play games can be downloaded by anyone, and it's all about how can we maximize revenue, how can we maximize profit. So it has always been a balancing act, but the pendulum has definitely swung from player first to investor first. Like, it almost feels like, to me, it's how can we make this the most profitable and giving as little to the players as possible, to make it passable, to make it like just fun enough that it doesn't seem like highway robbery. But I mean, at the end of the day, it sucks, because this is a hobby, right? It's all voluntary, so you can only complain so much. But at the same time, sooner or later, we're just gonna have to stop buying into it. That's the only way that they see dollar signs, as we're all agreeing. It's all about money. So eventually, we're gonna have to put our feet down collectively, but we'll see when that happens.
Shout out to the guy who lost his life savings by accidentally selling his apes to the wrong person, or whatever it was that came out this week. I don't know if you guys saw that on Twitter.
No.
The ape business is risky business.
The bored ape, the NFT monkeys. You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, I'm like, I thought you were talking about like animals, like apes. I was like,
no.
Much more interesting story. There's a man selling apes illegally. This is interesting. We need to find this man.
No. Moving on. This comes from True Achievements. 55 Xbox achievements for GoldenEye 007 have been listed on True Achievements. I'm also going to pull from Nibel over on Twitter, saying early last year, a beta build of a supposed canceled 2007 HD remaster for the Xbox 360 had been leaked. And so this could be further confirmation that we're getting some kind of 007 GoldenEye remaster reports or what have you coming to Xbox. Right?
Yeah.
So I say to you, did you play GoldenEye growing up, and are you excited for a possible port or remake or remaster?
Yes.
And yes. How does this whole licensing thing, though? Because I'm curious about that, right? Because when they got Rare Replay, I was like, okay, they got Rare. I guess they can do Perfect Dark. But I'm pretty sure, hasn't Nintendo owned the licensing for video game James Bond stuff for like the past 2 decades?
For just GoldenEye, they own
For just Golden, okay.
Yes,
Just
So-
Goldeneye.
I think Activision, EA had it for a while, and then Activision had it for a while. But no, Nintendo still owns the rights to the original GoldenEye, that story in video games. So apparently, what I saw on Twitter is Nintendo originally had given Microsoft approval for this back in like 2009 or 10 or something during the 360 era, and Rare had made this port. And then all of a sudden, Nintendo decided to back out for whatever reason. And now, apparently, they've had a change of heart, which I wonder if that's because they're going to have like a Switch port of it. So maybe it'll release on Xbox and Switch. But yeah, I'm very excited for this, just as a huge GoldenEye fan back in the day. And that's like literally the best era of Rare. Obviously I'll probably play it and then I'll be like super disappointed. I'll be like, man, this doesn't hold up, but I don't care. It's great.
I'm
If
excited.
they don't have online co-op, I don't want it.
True.
Also, in this era of Xbox, does this mean we're getting, to me, what is really exciting potentially? Does this mean it's also coming to Windows? Can I play GoldenEye on mouse and keyboard? Because I think that will make the game age way better. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
You don't
But
think
as,
so,
long, as
Christian?
long as you can't screen cheat, you know what I mean?
That's true. I don't think split screen's a thing on PC. You can't screen cheat. You can
know, like
actually
how-
cheat with hacks.
Like,
Like,
you
that's
know,
a
you
thing.
squat up in GoldenEye. It's the, you know, not 4v4, but you get what I'm trying to say. Like, every, you know,
Yeah.
the 4-player.
We're on big hit mode.
Deathmatch.
Let's go.
You got to use the cardboard. You separate the screens by the cardboard, Christian.
No way you ever did that, Dan.
No, I didn't.
There's no way.
I didn't.
Okay.
Oh, man.
Bro,
I just love that. I missed it. I didn't play it when I was younger, so I totally missed it. So I would definitely be interested in giving it a shot if it does come to Xbox. But I do just love what Xbox seems to keep doing with their backlog and just keeps releasing their back catalog. And if they have the opportunity to with GoldenEye, they are doing it. And I was on like the Xbox store the other day, and I was just looking through the games, and like there's games on here that I missed that I kind of want to get into. There's games that I've never heard of that I'm sure most of us have never heard of that are there just because they can. So I think it's really cool that they are doing this with backwards compatibility and at least trying to preserve as much as video game history as they can. So I hope they continue with that, and we see some other big hitters coming to Xbox in the future.
Shout out to 13, the game that was on like GameCube and PS2. There was a remaster of that like 2 years ago. Nobody bought it, including myself. It was a superior GoldenEye. It wasn't actually superior. I'm lying. Moving on,
Perfect
another
Dark was the
Perfect Dark,
superior
yeah.
Perfect
GoldenEye.
Dark. Let's go.
Remember that time you made me watch that video of you reacting to Perfect Dark?
You're welcome.
Stan freaking out. Yeah, amazing. Another Bloomberg article, this time by Jason Schreier. The first game by Ken Levine's studio, Ghost Story Games, has been stuck in development hell due to poor management style, with high turnover reported. I'm going to pull this one big paragraph here from the article. Of course, talking about Ken Levine. His current project, which began in 2014, still doesn't have a name or a release date. Development has suffered from numerous reboots and changes in direction, say 15 current and former employees of Levine's Westwood, Massachusetts-based studio. Ghost Story Games, just as critics grant... I thought there was a period that was a comma. Massachusetts-based studio, Ghost Story Games. Just as critics grant Levine credit for the artistry of his games, many Ghost Story employees readily blame him for their tortured project. Levine is a flawed manager who often struggles to communicate his vision and alienates or browbeats subordinates who challenge him or fail to meet his expectations. They current and former employees, most of whom requested anonymity because they feared repercussions. Atop that, I was digging through replies on that when the news broke, and there was somebody talking about his management style for his previous games, who apparently reported like Ken Levine would go play something on the weekend, just like a different game, and then come in and then demand all these changes be made according to whatever gameplay he like just experienced over that weekend, which is not how development works. and yet like I don't know, this dude's like running the studio. Like I don't know, how has this gone on for so long, since 2014, and then before that, games like BioShock and whatnot. Just absolutely insanity that we're like letting like auteurism for the sake of auteur kind of dictate like who we deify in the industry, even though it's like these dudes aren't perfect. Very much the opposite. Like this dude is like needs a different role. We need to like seriously check his management style, because it seems like people are suffering just trying to keep up with whatever he's demanding for his next game, which doesn't even have a name yet. Yeah. So, pass the mic off to you guys. Thoughts on this?
I don't know how I feel about this. I obviously don't agree with the management style, and it's tough because we live in an era where there's a lot of this is getting a lot more public attention, as it should, with sort of higher ups and how they treat their employees and all that stuff. I mean, it's tough because Ken Levine has made some pretty incredible games that will, like BioShock, will go down in the history books as one of the greatest games ever made. It's very original, it's very unique, and a lot of the issues that you brought up is what I'm worried about for Dying Light 2, where the lead would go and see all these things in other games, and then come back and say, you know what, I want X, Y, and Z in this game, and just artificially and abruptly changing things. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not gonna get my pitchfork out just yet, because it sounds like regular shitty boss stuff and not psychotic shitty boss stuff. So, I mean, you think of people, again, I know you said auteurism for the sake of auteurism, but you think of people like Quentin Tarantino, who by all accounts is an absolute pain to work with, but makes fantastic movies. I'm gonna wait and see. Obviously, I would rather this guy communicate his ideas clearly with his team and take in constructive criticism, because that is important. But at the same time, I think this might be fishing a little bit for some outrage. I don't know if I'm quite ready to get the torches lit just yet.
I can't imagine working on a game or anything for seven years. 2014 is when it started, right?
Yes.
And we're in I guess we're in 2022 now. But yeah, for 7 years and just still not even anywhere close to being done. If assuming that the people working for him have stayed on for that long. But yeah, with what Gage says, it does kind of suck that we may not ever see this, because Kevin has made some really cool games. Like BioShock is a really awesome game, and getting something from that mind would be awesome, but it should never be at the expense of the people who are working for you or who are really making the game, honestly. But yeah, I honestly don't know what to say besides that we'll wait and see. But I feel for the employees who have to be working with this interesting management style and just having to adapt over the last 7 years to whatever floats his boat that particular day, it seems.
Yeah, I'd say I'm kind of split on this, but on Twitter initially, my reaction to this was like, uh-oh, here we go. This is not good. Ken Levine, the studio, has been working on this for forever. After reading the article, I felt like I got a different impression from this. I know there's, obviously there's certain things you pointed out, Christian, that are not good in terms of his management style. But as Gage said, he has made some fantastic games. He's told some great stories. BioShock Infinite are absolutely phenomenal stories, I thought. And the interesting thing is when this studio started, it was in the ashes of Irrational Games, which created BioShock. And my problem back then was how they handled that whole situation, because they essentially laid off 80% of their staff after the BioShock Infinite content was finished. And they did it because Ken Levine said, I want to experiment with new games and do new stuff. And essentially, he told 2K he was going to go make his own studio to experiment with this kind of stuff. And 2K said, no, why don't you stick around with Irrational, and we'll just make you a smaller team, and then you can just experiment with stuff. So, like, I feel like the issue is Ken it is never going to be satisfied with whatever they create. I feel like no matter what comes out of this studio, it's going to be something that he doesn't think is perfect, and like it's almost a fault. It's a good thing and a fault, I guess, that he's maybe you could call him a perfectionist, because you're essentially pushing your employees to the point where you're changing things so much and everything is never consistent. You're not keeping a consistent, focus on what the game is, what we're doing, where we're going, and he's instead changing things all the time. And that's part of why 2K wanted to make it a small team, so that they could afford to do this. I think I saw someone say, like, essentially this studio is like a rounding error for 2K. Like if nothing comes out of the studio, like who cares, because it's a tiny team in the scope of 2K's entire group. But yeah, it is interesting. I think it's crazy that here we are 7-8 years later, like Ro said, and there's nothing out of it essentially. But I don't know.
Yeah, I guess that's just like the counter, is just thinking about like the individual who's like looking for work and goes to like make games at the studio, who, I don't know, like if you're not like battling crunch in the game industry, you're battling people who are very demanding, which isn't to say like that's like a very evil thing, because like that's just what managers do, right? But if the management style is very poor to the detriment of like the entire studio, where 7 years go by and it's still not even remotely ready to go, then it's like starts to become worrisome. You start seeing high turnover, and I don't know, like when I'm thinking about the individual, it's like people need jobs, people need to produce stuff on their resume in order to get more jobs. I don't know. This kind of sucks. Kind of sucks. Let's be better, I guess. Ken, be better.
Okay. I just want to shout out Brenty in the chat. Says, yo PXN crew, happy new year and all the best to you guys. All the best to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All the best to
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Happy new year.
That is it for all the terrible news, I'll call it. So I want all of us to just take a deep breath, just a sigh of relief.
Expel that bad energy.
Oh, it's 2022. We're all about manifesting good energy. Exactly. Let's get into some fun news items. Dan, I didn't see you exhale.
I did.
That was a quick exhale.
Just making sure. Some huge news came out of CES, particularly Sony at CES. PSVR 2 is official. The name is called PlayStation VR 2. Controllers are called Sense controllers. They offer haptic feedback and are rechargeable. PSVR 2 features include eye tracking, 4K HDR, foveated rendering, which I forgot to look up what that means, but I imagine it is cool tech. 90 and 120 hertz refresh rate, a 110-degree field of view, and of course an inside-out tracking using integrated cameras embedded in the VR headset. So you do not need an extra camera peripheral to use with the PS5. It's going to track the headset itself. One thing to note, of course, if you missed it, the PSVR 2 is going to be a wired headset. It's just one cable, a 10-foot long USB-C that you can connect to your PS5. There is a USB-C slot on the front of the PS5. I'm assuming maybe you can use it with that one. I'm going to stop there because there's some more news came out of Sony at CES. But does anyone here own a VR headset? Who owns one? Show of hands. Me and Gage. And Dan.
Yes.
This is huge.
Dan, what do you have?
I think we all have Quest 2?
I think so.
Yeah. I have the Quest 2 and the first VR.
Yeah. I'm excited.
Two questions here then. And it's the same question, is will you buy PSVR 2? But it's going to come from two different things. Because Ro, you don't have a VR headset at all. And Dan and Gage, you already have one. So does PSVR 2 interest you?
It's going to depend on a couple of things, because what's the price going to be, I think, is a big question. Obviously the fidelity of this thing is really, really nice. It's got a higher resolution than the Quest 2. You can play 120 hertz. That's crazy. Eye tracking, all this cool stuff inside of it. I just want to know how much it's going to cost and what kind of games are going to only appear there. and obviously there is a game we'll talk about here in a little bit. But yeah, the hardware itself I'm very impressed by, and I definitely am interested. However, I had the same conversation with Sean about the first iteration of PlayStation VR, and I told him the same thing. I was like, back then I was like, I wasn't interested in PSVR. There wasn't anything that, I had to have it for. And then when I finally was interested in it, I got my Quest, and I pretty much got everything that I really, cared about on there. Yeah, I missed out a couple of experiences that were exclusive to PS4, but for the most part, the wireless factor of Quest is also a bigger factor to me than that kind of stuff as well. So while one wire is much better, it's still not quite wireless. So we'll see.
I will say, as someone who uses his Quest 2 hooked into the PC to play Steam VR games, the one wire is really not an issue. Yes.
Yeah.
You can. Yeah. If you have a USB-C port on your PC and you have a beefy PC, you can. I've been playing Half-Life Alyx on the Quest 2.
You can do that?
Yes.
That's why I bought it, is because I realized that you can buy this linked USB-C cable.
Yeah.
And you can just piggyback the power of your PC and turn it into a proper, fully fledged VR headset.
Just
all right, I'm buying a link cable.
Make sure you get a officially licensed one, though, because if you use a normal one, it will not work.
You need something that has really good bandwidth. Yeah. So the one that they offer, it's overcharged, but it's good. So just get that one.
The MetaQuest cable, the $80 one. I'm sorry, this is just me shopping now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found an alternative from a company that I know, but I don't know if they're in the States or not. So I would just recommend getting theirs. And also the length, 15 feet cable. You want something with a lot of length. But yeah, no. So the one cable doesn't bother me. The hardware is extremely impressive. I think in comparison to the Quest 2, which is what we all have, I think its Hertz refresh rate offerings is 72 standard and 110 experimental, whereas this is 90 standard and 120. I'm guessing performance mode, whatever option they'll have. So that's huge. And one cable, not bothered by it at all. The only problem is games, and I mean it's only a problem for us because here's the thing: if you're somebody who doesn't have any allegiances and is just looking to get a console, and VR interests you, PlayStation, they own the market. Like there's no Nintendo headset, there's no Xbox headset for some reason. They have, God knows they have money that they could spare to do it.
Excuse me, Gage? Labo? I'm sorry.
Labo.
Okay. Like, all right, Nintendo
don't
aficionado.
Disrespect Labo.
Oh God. Yeah, no, but I think it makes sense for them to keep doing this because they're the only one, and even if it just breaks even, it's still something to get somebody to get the PlayStation over the Xbox. If somebody's curious, even just about maybe getting VR in the future, I mean, who are you gonna go with? You're gonna go with PlayStation. So I'm happy that PSVR 2 is real. I'm happy that they're not just doing the bare minimum, but cramming a lot of good hardware into this thing. The price will probably be very expensive, but that's to be expected. Yeah, it all comes down to games. I've been saying for a long time, a horror Last of Us VR experience would be incredible. If you're making your way through a building and you hear clicking and you have to throw bottles to make distractions, I don't know what they're doing. I really don't know what they're doing because horror VR is like arguably the most popular subgenre on VR, aside from rhythm games. So they have the net wide open. I'm waiting for that kick. I'm just waiting for that kick, and I will be there day one.
We'll get to more on that later, but Ro, I want to know your thoughts first on PSVR 2 and whether or not you're interested in buying. Well, I guess you need a PS5 first, don't you?
Yeah, I do need a PS5 first, and that's where the cost comes in as well. Where obviously you have to buy a PlayStation 5 plus the VR, but I assume that's something that somebody would buy at a later date. You don't buy it all in one go unless you're filthy rich. I am not, but so I am definitely very interested in the PSVR. I love the different the eye tracking. I'm trying to think of the word for it, but the different additions to features. Yes, thank you. I was blanking on the word, but I love those different features like the eye tracking and the apparently foveated rendering has something to do with eye tracking. It means the rendering technique which uses an eye tracker integrated into virtual reality headset to reduce the rendering workload by greatly reducing the image quality in the peripheral vision. So it helps with loading and all that kind of stuff, I guess. And that's really cool. I think that's awesome, and that it is going to be offered in the game that we're going to be talking about next. But at the end of the day, it really does just come down to games. And we're going to talk about the games, but if Sony does keep up this trend where they have VR experiences for their big hitting games or for their big first parties, it's going to be amazing to own one of these things.
Yeah, and you guys have all mentioned it. Like the big factor whether or not, I guess, you want to consider PSVR 1 a success or not, and whether or not PSVR 2 will be a success is entirely on games being built for it. Whether or not they're built from the ground up, right? Whether or not Sony believes and studios believe in the power of VR. And I think, to PSVR 1's credit, like, some were there. Like, I loved Astrobot on VR. That's one of my favorite VR games. Or I guess even just like recent Sony games, just period. The PS5 one rocked too. Games like Moss, like, all great stuff. But after a while, I wasn't really seeing anyone double down on like making great PSVR titles. Like, there's a handful there, and then that was like kind of it. So the worry, the concern is going to entirely rely on whether or not studios are making great PSVR titles for PSVR 2. And luckily, it seems like they are, because Horizon Call of the Mountain was officially announced for PSVR 2. It's being developed by Guerrilla and Firesprite. There was a full trailer available to watch on YouTube. I guess like an announcement teaser trailer. It's about 2 minutes long. It's mostly like a minute long, maybe a little bit less, actually. And it features just the Horizon world. So obviously, if you watch the trailer, it's on rails, it seems like. I don't know what the actual gameplay is going to be like, but at least like being in that Horizon world just via the video was pretty cool. But what really fascinated me was this screenshot that Jeff Keighley shared. 17 studios are going to be working on first-party games for VR. If you zoom into the picture, you can see companies like Bluepoint, Insomniac. You see Firesprite there. I see Sony London. I think that's London right there. They made what was the game they made for PSVR 1?
Christian,
yes.
Before you go any further, I think they were just saying that that's their 17 first parties working on party games, not VR. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, that's just all their first party studios.
No, I think you're right. I think I pulled that. I think you're right.
That'd
Never
been
mind.
awesome, though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that would be
awesome.
I was saving big ones like Housemarque and Naughty Dog and Sucker Punch for last, but yeah. I mean, cool. We're getting more Sony first party games. But yeah, I don't know. Like, having a big game like Horizon, a game that we're anticipating the sequel. First one was great. Getting more iterations of that in VR, I think, to me, seems pretty cool. If they can continue partnering with like some studios like Guerrilla and have it pair up with a different studio who can support and make amazing VR titles, like H said, there's a wealth of current Sony first party games that we can pull from to make VR titles, like standalone stuff, like a Last of Us horror experience, or et cetera, et cetera. I don't know what they would look like. I don't know.
Uncharted
shooter.
puzzle experience.
Yeah.
Right? Going through ruins, pressing things, turning knobs. Hell yeah. Let's go.
I'd play it.
And
yeah.
Ben did in my opinion, Ben did a great job of putting Uncharted on PlayStation Vita. So I feel like they would be a decent studio to let them kind of do an Uncharted experience on VR. But no, Horizon looks amazing. Like, that's such a beautiful game world to go in. So like that's a great game to show off for them. And even like don't forget, like, studios like Rocksteady, they made that Batman experience early on in PSVR's life. So like even stuff like that would be really cool. Them partnering with third parties to make exclusive content. So yeah, I'm interested.
I would love to see more like I guess like Epic or Unreal Engine stuff, like the Matrix and like the Radiohead experiences that just came out on PS5. Like if they can do stuff like that for VR, are you kidding me? I would love that.
A little PC nerd tidbit here is that the big thing I'm waiting for, and that a lot of developers are waiting for, is what the controllers look like. Because I follow a lot of developers that make really high-end VR games. Like I follow the developers of Boneworks, which is one of the most sophisticated sandbox VR games that you can play. And a big reason that PSVR didn't have a lot of these PC titles is not because it couldn't run it, but because of the controllers themselves and the lack of touch sense and the amount of buttons on them. So if these new PSVR 2 handsets actually resemble something like the Oculus Quest or Meta Quest or whatever the hell it's called now,
Gage, you're in luck because last March 2021 they released a full PlayStation blog article looking at these controllers. They look like kind of similar to what the Valve Index has.
Okay, I remember the leak. I don't remember official blog post, but I must have missed that. So this is the thing, is that what I'm getting around to saying is that we could see a lot more third-party, successful, established VR titles coming to PlayStation VR 2 that could have run on PSVR 1 but didn't have the hardware controller support for it. So that's exciting because the PS5 is totally capable of running. Boneworks is totally capable of running games like Arizona Sunshine and all that stuff. So it'll be exciting to see these things make their way over as well, let alone first-party stuff.
Let's hope, at the very least, the games are backwards compatible, because they've been offering some PSVR games via PlayStation Plus. So if you've been adding those, you will have a breadth of games to play if you buy PSVR 2.
Right.
Hopefully. Guys, our last news article of the day comes from Ubisoft. Ubisoft Plus is coming to Xbox in the future. Unfortunately, not to Game Pass, but you can buy it via Xbox. However, in that, we also learned that Rainbow Six Extraction is coming to Xbox / PC Game Pass on launch day, which is a game coming out this month, just in another week or two. Very exciting, because I didn't want to shell out the full price to play this, if I'm being honest. Like, I'm really curious to try it out. Paying a full $60 would have been, I don't know, maybe a bit too far for me, but now that it's on Game Pass, I will definitely be checking this out. That's the greatest news coming out of a Ubisoft game for me in quite some time.
Well, Christian, all I'll say is prepare to die.
Okay.
Rainbow Six Extraction.
Is that a threat?
No,
I know, right?
Rainbow Six Extraction.
That sounded really morbid.
What are you gonna do? Fly over here?
Not that I have any insider info. I'm just guessing that.
I think the game's probably really bad, which is why we all didn't realize it's coming out in 2 weeks, and also it's coming to Game Pass day one. Not that alone is a telltale sign. I'm just saying that it seems like the cards are all coming together here. I don't know if I'm going to download Rainbow Six Extraction. We'll see.
Dude, my man Gage here is super down on Ubisoft. Did you guys see his tweet today about Ubisoft Plus?
It was a good tweet. It was a good tweet.
It was a good tweet. Yeah.
Let's not claim that Gage is down on Ubisoft. The man who made me buy a Ubisoft game, he didn't make me. Let me be clear. But
I was gonna say, pass the buck to Glenn where it rightfully belongs.
But they were playing a Ubisoft game, and they're like, "Hey, buy this." I was like, "All right, I'll buy it. Fine."
That's true. But also, my point still stands, because that game we were playing is indistinguishable from Assassin's Creed and Watch Dogs, and insert Ubisoft game here.
Let me just read everyone the tweet.
Okay.
So Tom Warren tweets out, Ubisoft Plus is coming to Xbox. It's a subscription game service that includes access to more than 100 Ubisoft games. Details here on The Verge. You can check out a full list of all the Ubisoft games coming, which I think is pretty cool. There's cool titles in there. There's the Scott Pilgrim game.
That's it.
I guess. I know. I'm looking at it. Ooh, I guess that's kind of it, isn't it? I don't know. Trackmania Turbo, Rainbow Six Siege. Like, those are cool titles. To which Gage quote tweets and says, "Or just buy one Ubisoft game and you've basically played all of them." I'm not going to argue with him there.
Fair. Obviously being hyperbolic. but not that much, which is the problem.
Or play the better Ubisoft game, Halo Infinite.
True.
Boom.
True.
Or
Play
we could all
Snooki.
play Elden Ring instead. Oh, Gage. Exactly.
Ah.
That is it for news of the week. Before we get to topic of the show, guys, it's been a while. Happy New Year. What you got for me? Dan.
I didn't know if I was supposed to go. Of course, more Halo, as usual. That's never going to change every day of my life, the rest of my life. Anyways, Ghost Recon Breakpoint is the game we were referring to a little bit ago. This is a game that came out, and I was like, I will never play this game ever. And then I'm playing Xbox one day, just happily enjoying my life. No, that's not true. That was more hyperbolic, comments there. But Gage and Glenn invited me to join them. Wait, was it Glenn who was playing with us? Yes, Glenn was playing with us. And I was like, all right, can I justify buying this game? And you guys are like, oh yeah, buy it. All right, I bought it. It's okay. It's okay. It's a Ubisoft game. It's an open world Ubisoft game. It doesn't exactly scratch my itch per se. It's kind of like a poor man's Destiny meets Far Cry meets Rainbow Six meets Ghost Recon meets I don't even know the worst parts of Rainbow Six, not the tactical aspect, but I don't know. Anyways, it was fun. It was fun. But I guess I'll have to play it some more with you guys because I just spent money on it and I'll feel terrible if I don't actually play it, like Ghost Recon Wildlands, which I bought and never even played. Yeah. So that's all I got.
Or Dan.
Yeah.
Gage, you want to jump in on this? Oh, I'm sorry,
No,
Ro. I'm sorry.
no,
I
go
cut you
for
off.
it.
I cut you off.
No, I was going to go into mine, so please, what were you going to ask, Gage?
Gage, well, you've also been playing Ghost Recon Breakpoint. Are you having fun?
Wait,
Are you as down on it?
I'm going to give you the actual story of what happened because Dan likes
Okay.
Dan is what I like to call a revisionist historian.
Uh-oh.
So Dan joins our party without consent and starts yelling at us, hey, what are you guys playing? And we said, playing Ghost Recon Breakpoint. And, okay, that part was fib, but this part isn't. So Dan starts asking me, why are you playing Ghost Recon if you're so down on it? And Dan, I know you remember this. I told you. Listen, and I'm actually curious about this, Christian and Rashan. Tell me if you can see
Okay.
the logic here or if I'm wrong, because I will gladly concede. I told him that I didn't like Ghost Recon Breakpoint as a game, but the principle is that I very much enjoy third-person, over-the-shoulder military shooters, and there are none on console. There are
The
none.
Division.
I was going to say The Division, which is another Ubisoft
There,
game.
good point. Good point.
True. True, The Division, but that one is even more. What's the subgenre? Like the Destiny thing. What
Shared
is
Live
it?
world.
service.
Oh.
Live service,
Shared world, yeah.
gear score, all that stuff, which Ghost Recon does have, and I'm not a
Looter
fan of.
shooter is probably what you're thinking.
Looter
Looter
shooter,
cell.
yes, it's very much more looter shooter. So I told Dan, listen. He's like, why are you playing it if you're so down on it? I said, Dan, because I don't have anyone else. Nope. I'm waiting for SOCOM to come back. Desperately waiting for SOCOM
thank
to
you for
come back.
Yes.
Because Ghost Recon, Ubisoft decided that Ghost Recon isn't going to be Ghost Recon anymore. Because Wildlands was a GTA clone, and Breakpoint was a GTA clone that's also a Destiny clone. And then they're like, okay, we hear you guys. We know what you really want. You want Ghost Recon Frontlines. You want a first-person battle royale. So, Dan, yes, Ghost Recon Breakpoint is not a great game. But it's the only semi-realistic third-person shooter I have, okay? I need SOCOM, or this is going to have to get me through until then.
Okay, wait a minute. All right, first, Purecraft is in the Twitch chat. He's saying, hello, boys, and he's excited about SOCOM. Glenn's in the YouTube chat saying it was fun with the boys. Thank you. Anyways, Gage, I lost my train of thought. What was I going to say? Shit.
The scum timer's coming in.
Does this count? Guys, Christian and Road, this question's geared towards you guys. Does this count as a realistic military third-person shooter? Gears of War.
No.
No.
How? It's literally a fucking military
He tried to feed
third
me this
person
alternative.
realistic
It's not.
graphics.
It's not.
Realistic graphics.
There's a difference between graphical fidelity
Is it
and
realistic?
it's not.
I
Also,
give
do you
up.
see the size of their necks? Tell me that's realistic. That is what's the word? Harmful male body type. What is it? What's the thing?
Expectations?
I don't know. Expectations. That's what
Probably
it is.
not about it either. Oh man. No,
it's so
I see
common
the logic from Gage. Like that's all he can get right now, so he's going to take it until SOCOM
The
comes.
only other popular over-the-shoulder third-person shooter on console is like Fortnite, and that's no. Also, Gears of War. I have a very specific problem with Gears of War, and it's the sprinting animation. All right, I
Wait,
can't do it.
Did you just say
Stand up
Fortnite?
straight.
Fortnite is even a realistic. What?
Exactly. There's none. That's what I'm saying. It's only Ghost Recon Breakpoint. That's all you get.
You could play through the Metal Gear Solid series on your Xbox via, I don't know.
True.
That's
Pegasus
true.
Pack.
I've never gotten into those. Actually, that one bugs me too, but I won't say why because it's silly. Anyways, Ghost Recon Breakpoint, don't recommend it. Also, didn't tell you to buy it. I was just saying you should definitely come play with us. But the moral of the story, which
God.
Dan forgot to bring, which is the best part, is that about an hour and a half into playing this, he gets a pop-up on his pause menu that says download the friend pass, download the trial version of the game, and you can play
for
unlimited
free.
time the full game with your friends.
Yeah.
And
Missed that part, huh?
Glenn and I both forgot about that, and instead you spent like what, $20 on it?
15, but
That's not too bad.
Not bad. That it, Gage? That's all you got for us?
That's it. Well, no, that's not. I mean, if I'm just going now, Hades as well. Hades and Tarkov. Oh, no. Well, a little bit of Tarkov. Hades, which is still fantastic, is still great. I'm getting all the aspects, kind of 100%ing it, but kind of not really. And then the other thing is It Takes Two. My girlfriend and I booted that up, and it was towards the end of our visit, and she was like, let's try this. And I was like, cool, yeah, I mean, you're going to be leaving soon, so let's do that. And then she ended up staying for like 4 or 5 hours later to the early morning. And it's good. I can see why. We're only about 6 or 7 hours in now. We played it a couple of times. I can see why it's definitely Game of the Year material. It's really good. The animations especially. It's also just funny. It's really funny. I don't want to spoil any of the characters you end up meeting and some of the plot lines, but it's just absolutely ridiculous. And it's good fun. It's just good fun.
Another week where Gage flexes his girlfriend.
She's real too. She's like an actual real person for real.
It must be nice, bro. What you got for me? What you got for us?
I haven't been playing much. I started a new, which is not a good idea because I have a lot of things to play. But I started a new game. It's an old game, and I'm playing, and it's called Grandia, which is a JRPG. And I saw it on the Steam sale. My dad got me a Steam gift card for my birthday. Shout out to Brenty. So I use a little bit of it on an old game, and I'm saving some more for later on this year. Maybe Sifu. I'll get that later. But anyways, Grandia, super cool. Very early on. Don't have much to say on it yet, but I've heard good things about it, so I wanted to give it a shot. Trying to get into some more classic JRPGs this year. So that was one of them. And of course, well, not of course, but I'm playing Halo Infinite multiplayer as well. And having a good time, enjoying it.
Popping off.
I tweeted a little clip earlier today where I said I did the thing. Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Ow,
Thank you.
I hit my hand. Oh, man. But yeah, I did the thing where I grappled somebody's warthog, and there was an enemy in the back still shooting the turret. He didn't realize that I hijacked it, and I drove off the map, and then I grappled back onto the map so I didn't die. It was so fun. I felt so good in that moment.
You felt like a champion among men.
I felt like a god, yes. And then I immediately died after though. So of course, because I was getting the capture, so I was just standing there. So I was just easy target. But it was
did
worth
you get
it.
the clip though?
I got the clip, and that's what matters. Exactly. But yeah, I'm still ranking up. I mean, Gage and Dan have finished the battle pass. I'm still climbing up. Right, I think I'm on rank 32 now. But yeah, having a good time, enjoying myself. Didn't expect to be still playing it, honestly, but I am. So I'm having a good time.
We got to squad up this weekend.
Yes.
Heck yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Christian, don't even lie to the people.
Okay, it's my turn. I haven't played anything. I've been away on vacation with my family for almost a week, so nothing new for you.
You've been playing with your
Instead-
family. Some good times.
Yes, we were in a cabin near Yosemite. We made up this. My cousin and I made up this game. Actually, we played a lot of Sorry with the fire and ice. I have this tweet drafted in my tweets that I'm not gonna post. So I'll just say here. Listen, Hasbro was off the shits when they made Sorry Fire and Ice. Completely changes the game. It's awesome.
I'm not
So that's what I've been
I
playing.
need to. Yeah, I missed that one.
How is it
It's like-
different? Like,
yeah.
what?
Is it
So
Game of
the-
Thrones spinoff?
So when you pull the cards, some of them will say like move fire, and you have to move like a fire piece on it, and you can start zooming across the map every time it's your turn. And then if you make it home with your fire on your little pawn, you get to bring in another pawn with you. So you want to stop that. So the only way to stop it is with ice or moving the fire, drawing that move fire card. I'm talking too much about this board game for kids, but it was like legit so much fun, especially when you're like drinking and having a good time. Instead, what I have for you is the topic of the show. Yes, that is right. We are predicting 2022 in video games. I asked the crew to pick 3 things to predict that will happen in 2022 in the world of video games, whether that be reveals, announcements, delays, awards, etc., etc., etc. And then I asked them before the show not to tell me because I want to be surprised by everyone's predictions. So I figure we'll go one at a time. So for Dan will go, then Gage, then Ro, then me. And then we'll just loop back. So let's start with Dan. What you got? What is your first prediction?
I'm going to go ahead and apologize in advance because these predictions are going to be terrible. I had to come up with these real quick because I was working on the podcast stuff before the show and I didn't have time. So I'm going to preface with that. Don't yell at me, Christian. They're bad. All right. The first one I have, Starfield will be delayed to 2023.
No.
Yeah.
Wow, the man really thinking about that one, huh?
I don't want
You
it.
said don't shame him, Christian.
I know.
I know. He did. I feel I deserve it though. That's a terrible prediction. I deserve it.
Who knows?
I don't want it to be delayed. I want it to come out this fall, but like obviously this game has been in development for a long time. Fallout 4 came out in 2014 and Todd Howard's team hasn't made anything since then. So here we are 7+ years later and maybe it'll be coming out after 8 years. So yeah, I'm interested to kind of see some gameplay probably at E3 this year if Microsoft has that and see what this game's going to be. Obviously, I'm a huge Fallout fan and I like Elder Scrolls, so really excited to see what Todd's up to.
Are they doing 11/11 this year as well for Starfield? I forget.
They did say that. So that's the only hesitation I have because Todd has a weird fascination with that date for some reason.
11/11/22.
Yeah.
Clean. Easy.
Mm-hmm. Too bad it's not going to happen. It will get delayed 2023 according to Daniel Prindle. Ro, your first prediction.
My first prediction is, well, we've had some rumors about the Donkey Kong or the Super Mario Odyssey team over at Nintendo working on a Donkey Kong game. So my prediction, I guess it's 2 predictions in one, but I think we're going to find out what they're working on this year, whether it is a Donkey Kong game, a new platformer from them, or Super Mario Odyssey 2, which I hope they've been working on Super Mario Odyssey 2. I think they have 2 teams anyway. I'm not sure if it is. I'm not sure how that works actually, but I think it is one team, and this is Super Mario Odyssey team. They could, then rumors has it that they're working on a Donkey Kong game, but I really hope that we're getting a Super Mario Odyssey 2 from them. If not, I'm sure the game, whatever game it is, whether it's Donkey Kong or Super Mario Odyssey 2, I'm sure we're going to hear about what that game is this year. I think it's going to be at the first Direct of the year, which I guess would be soon, probably in February.
February, right?
Yeah.
They do a big one in February, don't they?
Yeah, they do. So I'm hoping to hear about that at February. I think it's going to be the Donkey Kong game. I hope it's not because I want a Mario Odyssey 2, but I think the rumors are true and they're working on a new Donkey Kong, which would be really cool because there's a Donkey Kong movie in the works eventually. So
Oh
that'd be
my
cool.
God.
Yeah, with Seth Rogen.
I forgot about that movie.
Yeah, so that'd be cool if they're able to time the game's release with that or something. But we shall see. We shall see.
I'm the opposite, bro. I hope it's a Donkey Kong game. That'd be fantastic.
I just loved Odyssey so much, man. Just loved it so much.
That's fair. I'm gonna start on a negative note because my other two are positives. So I'm gonna get the negative out of the way, pull a Daniel Prindle, and also predict a delay. What did I write down? The sequel to Breath of the Wild will get pushed to 2023.
Oh,
Solid.
No.
guess
Why?
I better change one of my predictions.
It will not release in 2022.
I'm so
I think you might
sad.
be right.
Yeah. I hope you're wrong, Christian. I want that game so bad. I'm sure
I mean,
you do
I hope
too.
I'm wrong, too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But I can definitely see it happening as well. But man, I want that game so bad. We've been waiting.
I do too. It
So
looks
we're waiting for
fantastic.
since this. Well, not exactly since the Switch came out, but it's been so long since Breath of the Wild came out that I'm ready for that sequel.
Is it 2017?
Yeah,
Holy.
2017.
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild rock, man.
Does that
Minimalist
team
Zelda.
does that team bounce back and forth between things, or did they pretty much just start working on Breath of the Wild 2?
I don't know because I think what was that other game? The Calamity game, the Miso game wasn't
Age
by
of
them.
Calamity.
I think they helped a little
Wait.
bit, like with the art style and stuff. But I think like the Dynasty Warriors team worked on that. I think so.
That
They
sounds
could.
right, yeah.
I think they've been working on Breath of the Wild all this time. I think.
Interesting.
I'm totally speaking out of my butt. I don't know that for sure, but I think that they haven't been working on anything else besides that right now.
Gage, what say you?
I say I'm gonna do a softball first. I'm gonna make this an official prediction and not just a wish anymore. I'm going to predict that Redfall comes out and it absolutely slaps. Not just I personally enjoy it, but that we're talking good Metacritic, really lots of buzz on release. I've been feeling this way for a long time, but somebody tweeted out recently a good little recap. I can't find it now, but pretty much it's just saying that this is not a spin-off team. This is there's a lot of A-team talent behind this game, and it's kind of flying under the radar. The lead on this project is one of the most senior people at Arcane.
Harvey Smith.
Harvey Smith, that's right. The man, the myth, the legend. And it's getting a huge budget from Microsoft, and I think this is going to be... if you read the leaks or not, it seems like it's going to be a Borderlands competitor, where it's going to be Gear Score and looter shooter, 4-person co-op, open world. And I'm not only am I personally excited for this game, but again, the talent behind it, I think this is going to be huge. I think this is going to be a sleeper hit for Microsoft. Something kind of similar to Back 4 Blood, but on a much bigger scale, where Back 4 Blood came out, it was surprisingly good, and I think that Redfall is going to be that, but to the AAA sort of level of quality that we expect.
Is Redfall slated to release this year, 2022?
Yes.
Summer 2022.
Right? Yeah.
Perfect window as
Nice.
well. A really good window. If they can get it out early summer, they can really have the season to themselves.
Which, if that does happen, we'll have to see gameplay somewhat soon, because we haven't seen gameplay yet. We've only seen CG teasers, so
Yep.
I wouldn't be surprised if that gets delayed as well.
Now, if it doesn't get delayed, do you think it gets its own? Because Xbox normally doesn't do sort of state of plays, if you will, for specific games. Do you think maybe they start that trend and give it its own sort of developer highlight, developer blog in the spring? Assuming it doesn't get delayed, do you think that Microsoft would do something like that?
Yeah, possibly, or it just could have a huge focus at E3, because
And then release shortly after?
yeah, like
Right.
I'm thinking July or August maybe they'll release it, because that's still summer, right? Is that right?
I don't know when the official... To me, yes, but
Okay.
there's a stupid official calendar that's totally wrong.
Yeah.
I think it'll go into September. I think usually the summer goes into like August, September.
Gotcha.
I think. I could also see them doing like a Game Informer month where it's like coverage is yeah.
I think September 21st is supposed to be the last day of summer, but in my mind, it's like the end of August is the end.
Dan, your second prediction.
I've revamped my predictions actually after being embarrassed with my first prediction while everyone has been talking. So my second prediction is the Coalition reveals a brand new IP, taking a break from Gears of War for now, but I think they will get back to Gears of War and do kind of the on and off thing like what Todd Howard's team does with Elder Scrolls and Fallout and now obviously Starfield. But I think they will reveal a new IP. Remember that little bank heist looking game was first announced by Black Tusk, which was the Coalition's former name, before Microsoft bought the Gears of War license and said, here, make Gears of War games. But the reason why I think this is because like Rod Ferguson, huge, impact on the Gears of War franchise. He left the Coalition, 2 years ago? Maybe a year and a half ago, right after Gears of War, Gears 5's development ended. And that kind of signifies to me like they're ready to start their next chapter. And maybe they'll kind of announce a new IP to kind of get people excited for Unreal Engine 5. They helped Epic Games make that Matrix demo on all the platforms, which is really cool. So, yeah, I think that's what we'll see. New IP. Coalition.
Exciting stuff.
That would be cool. I think, and wasn't the Coalition the studio that was showing off all those really cool designs that we looked at a while ago on the show, where they would just Unreal Engine 5 stuff? I think they partnered with Unreal 5 to show off how beautiful graphics can look.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
That's even more exciting. Whatever they're going to make next, if it's Gears or whatever, or a new IP, it's going to be beautiful. That's for sure.
Yeah, they have a long lineage of being associated with Unreal Engine. I remember they did a tech demo for the first Gears of War on whatever Unreal Engine that was, and being absolutely blown away as a child by it. But yeah, I'm excited. I think that's a good prediction. I'd like to see them make something else and make the characters stand up when they sprint in that game.
It's a roadie run, Gage.
I don't care. They sprint normally in the cutscenes, Dan. Sprint normally in the gameplay. I can't stand it.
Maybe have some smaller necks. Ro, what is your next prediction?
My next prediction is Atlas is going to announce not Persona 6, which they might as well, but I think we're finally going to hear about Project ReFantasy, which, for those who don't know, is a game, a JRPG, a high fantasy JRPG, being developed by a studio within Atlas that is called Studio Zero, which emerged after Persona 5 was released. They had the money to make a new studio, which is awesome. And that studio is working on, as I said, Project ReFantasy, which was announced in 2016 and has been in development since 2016. And as of December 2020, the lead over there said that the game has reached its climax, which in history of Atlas, that usually means that an announcement is imminent, with Persona 5 having similar a path, I guess, for lack of a better word. But yeah, I've been waiting for this announcement for a long time, being a fan of Atlas and, of course, Persona. I would love to see what another studio could do with their amazing style and music, see what they could kind of bring to a different genre of game. Seeing a high fantasy take from Atlas would be really cool.
I tell you what, I look forward to hopefully playing P5 Royal this year. Hope I do it.
You should. Yes.
I know.
It's a really good game.
Guys, I am no longer predicting 2022 in games. From here on out, I am manifesting 2022 in games. So my first manifestation, I guess technically it's my number 2 prediction, is... Where did I write it down? Here we go. Bloodborne PS5 remaster plus PC port is real, releasing 2022. And yeah, 60 frames per second. It's happening in Bloodborne. Believe it, Naruto style.
Heck yes.
Yes, prepare to die. again.
Okay, y'all got nothing to say about FromSoft games, huh? Okay, that's fine.
I will
That's
someday.
fine. We can talk on and on about the coalition making pretty games, but no one wants to talk about From
No,
Software.
no,
That's fine.
definitely prepare to die, Christian. Prepare to die, and over and over and over. That's all I got. I don't-
It's okay. Okay, I forgive you all. Gage, what is your
Something-
number
You
two
guys
prediction?
deserve it. You deserve it. That's all I have to say.
Yes, agreed.
Okay, number 2. Also, another prediction that I've been predicting for quite a while. The Last of Us remake comes out in 2022, and it's the first PlayStation game that comes day and date to PC. I think maybe not the start of every game, but this game specifically, there's no reason not to, because it's not an exclusive experience. PlayStation people have been playing this for 8 years now, 9 years, whatever, 9 years now. And it's they're gonna want to drum up hype for the HBO show. They're gonna want to get people excited. I think that 2022 is the perfect time to do that because we don't have a date for the show yet. I would expect holiday 2022 at the earliest for the show, if not spring 2023. So a late 2022 release for the Last of Us remaster to me just seems like all the stars lining up for them, and I think they're going to want to try and get that hype going for that brand. And the PC part of things, like I said, the game's been out. It's not a brand new game. I think it's the perfect time to widen the audience, especially with your hit show coming out on one of the greatest networks that's ever existed. To me, it just makes sense. I'm calling it now. Last of Us remake on PC, day and date with a PS5, 60 frames, all that goodness. You can go prone as Joel now if you want to do that. Roll around the mud, get freaky with it.
I would break that game, I think. I don't know if you do that.
It would be weird if they didn't, though, right? Like, it doesn't make sense for them to add it, but it makes less sense for them not to add it if they're just porting the engine over.
I don't know. We'll see. I guess it's part of the remake, though, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's the thing. It is remake and not remaster. If it is, I'm going to
Yeah.
crawl through the whole game. I'm not going to get off my tummy once.
And what is your final prediction?
My final prediction is Naughty Dog. I mean, Gage just talked about them, that whole Last of Us thing.
Yeah.
Naughty Dog announces Uncharted 5, but not named 5. It's going to be kind of a spin-off, so to speak, but not spin-off, but like kind of a spiritual reboot of the series, starring Nathan Drake's daughter, sort of akin to God of War 2018.
Spoilers.
And well, sure, sorry, but I think we'll see a CG teaser trailer to announce it. I don't think they're going to show anything crazy or anything like that, but I think it would be super cool to kind of spiritually reboot the series, similar to God of War 2018, get a new audience excited about Uncharted, and that would be really cool.
Unfortunately, Dan, the rumor is that a different studio is working on the Uncharted sequel.
I don't believe it.
You don't believe it?
I don't believe it.
I haven't heard this. What's the rumor?
I think it was at Santa Monica studio, or was it
Or
San
Bend.
Diego studio?
Was it? Oh,
No, it wasn't Bend. Bend was
No.
supposed to be helping work on the remake of TLU 1, or if they're going to do like some kind of
Gotcha.
TLU 1 plus 2 package. I think it was San Diego or Santa Monica is supposedly working on the next Uncharted. They're like, Naughty Dog is passing that IP on to another PlayStation studio.
okay.
That's kind of exciting, though.
Let
'cause
me
that
That's
is
the
what-
rumor.
Let me change my prediction. PlayStation announces Uncharted.
Okay.
There we go.
And how much of a tease are we talking about? Like a slow camera pan over a map, and there's the
Yeah.
ring.
Yeah,
Like,
it's gonna.
and that's all you get.
It's just gonna be a
Something
CG
like that?
teaser. It's not gonna be not even in engine, like akin to
Right.
the Halo Infinite initial reveal trailer. Although that was an engine, I guess.
I know what you mean, though. I know what you
Yeah.
I hope you're right. I'm getting excited just thinking about what types of trailers we could possibly get if this is true.
Can I add on to your prediction
Sure.
before we move
Ooh.
on?
Sure.
Okay, it's a camera pan over a map, and then it pans up, and it's Tom Holland, and he's the star of the next
Well,
Uncharted game.
Oh no.
Let's
Did
go,
not
boys.
see that coming.
Oh, Sully! Oh, Sully!
there was a moment where you're like, man, I can choose not to say this, and you said it anyway. Ro, I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to cut you off because Gage got a Naughty Dog prediction in. Daniel got a Naughty Dog prediction in. I am now going to throw in my own Naughty Dog manifestation, unless you do.
Do it.
Unless you
No,
have
go
one.
for it.
Okay,
go
I'm
for
gonna I'm gonna continue the train real quick. Thank you for letting me jump in. My manifestation. Everyone's always talking about, oh, where's factions? Which, by the way, that's also me. I can't wait for factions. Oh, where's Tilo remake? What's happening with that? My Naughty Dog manifestation is that Naughty Dog announces a new game this fall, and it is new IP. We get an actual announcement, a teaser of that. And you may be thinking, Christian, like, you're insane. Like, it's too soon. You're right, probably. Like, Naughty Dog is busy as fuck, right? But I don't put it past them. They have so much support from other PlayStation studios. Sony loves supporting Naughty Dog that I can envision a future where they have a team that is working on their next new IP because they've had it in the pipelines for a while. There was a rumor that it was going to be a sci-fi game for the longest time, which would be incredible. I would love to see it. And there's my justification.
Solid.
Heck
I like
yes.
it.
Heck yes.
That's totally. I can see that as a one more thing for one of these summer events, for one of these PlayStation. They end the show showing Factions or it's Last of Us remake. Everybody's hyped and oh man, that was the last thing of the show. I can't believe it. And the screen fades to black. One more little thing.
The studio's logo.
Neil, come on, give it to me, Neil. I want it.
Yes,
And we're in space. We're like, what game is this? Oh.
Yes, I love Naughty Dog so much. I would always take more of The Last of Us, even though it should have ended. Maybe it should have ended with the first one, but who knows? I like the second one, but I would always take more Last of Us. I will always take more Uncharted, but a new IP is definitely at the top of my list. I would love to see something new from that studio for sure. That would be awesome. Can't wait. I hope that happens this year.
We got cover in the YouTube chat says, "Member me? Of course we remember you."
Absolutely. Hello, Cover.
Bro, please enlighten us with your third prediction.
All right, so my final prediction's not super exciting. It's not Naughty Dog. I have a really quick one, but Pokemon Sleep is finally announced. But that's not my final prediction, but I do think this year we'll finally find out what Pokemon Sleep is. But my actual prediction is that we're getting another new Nintendo Online game, which they always do, but I think we're going to finally get that Zelda one that I thought was going to happen for the 35th anniversary, but Nintendo is very strange. And they just wanted to do Skyward Sword, which I guess makes sense to a certain extent, but I think they are going to do a Zelda-themed online game, and I think it's going to be a dungeon crawler where whoever survives in the dungeon the longest wins, and I think that'll be super fun, and I hope they do it. That's my prediction, that Nintendo Online gets a Zelda-themed game, which I think will probably be timed as well, like all the other ones, unfortunately, and it'll go away eventually, but yeah, I think it's time for a Zelda one. We've got a Pac-Man one, we got a Mario one. It's time for a Zelda one.
Oh,
yes,
that'd be so cool.
Love it. Okay, okay, Gage, you're gonna close out the show. What's your third prediction?
Close it. Oh no, that's a lot of pressure. Let's play it safe and go. This is gonna be the year that we finally get. Talked about this on our live stream for the Game Awards. We are finally going to get our big Xbox capture overhaul. Phil, it's so long overdue. Please. I want to record clips, and I want to be able to edit them quickly and efficiently. I want to have the option to record party chat in the clips as well, which has been something that's been on PlayStation for a long time. It's super unfortunate when I'm playing games on PC. I have it so that it records everybody's audio and you get good moments. I've got tons of Halo Infinite clips from Rashan and Dan and I, and just absolute chaos and buffoonery. And then something cool happens on Xbox and you watch the clip back and it's just, you're like, why did I record this? And you're like, oh wait, maybe somebody said something really funny. I don't know though, because I can't tell. So they've mentioned this a few times. They've made certain acquisitions for editing software and stuff like that. I think it's time to give the people what they want, which is a nice big makeover for capturing on Xbox, because it's abysmally limited right now.
You hankering for an overhaul, Dan?
Honestly, I don't really use Capture that much. I use it for screenshots occasionally and like the cool play that I make, but I'm not social enough to get these cool moments in parties like Gage is. So
Now I have a question for you, Dan.
what's that?
What came first, the chicken or the egg?
Yeah,
You don't use Xbox Capture a lot. Is that because there's not much to use it for?
sure. Sure.
Amazing.
I do wonder if people would, if you would be somebody who would record game clips and make montages if it was that easy, right?
Yeah.
So
I think the younger audience for sure would appreciate it, because obviously not all little kids have like nice machines to go video edit, or you know, maybe they're not comfortable with doing that. So yeah, something a little easier to use and, you know, robust enough for people to do some cool things. That would be nice.
The first, I don't know, console person will let you upload directly to TikTok. That'll be killer.
Wow.
These kids love the TikTok.
That's a hot take.
What do you mean a hot take?
I don't know.
That's right. That's yeah.
Kids do love TikTok.
Let's get some Snapchat stories, you know, on Xbox.
Okay. I hate that people on Twitter say like the only people that use like Twitter, or sorry, that use Snapchat are like old people. Like, oh, come on, I still use Snapchat every now and then.
Can I just give you my 2 joke predictions real quick?
Yeah.
Obsidian announces like its 12th game in the last 2 years. That was a joke that I've written down here because they've announced so many games. And also, you know what? Also, I wrote this one down as a joke, but okay, so Halo Infinite as game of the year, guys. But no, Gage, stop shaking your head for 1 second.
Not even possible.
No. Stop shaking your head for a second and listen to me. How do you judge this game? Like, the game came out in December, so like, do you judge it based on
it came out broken and with missing
No.
features?
Gage, listen.
Oh,
No. Do you gauge it as of December 2021, or do you gauge it as of November 2022, like before the cutoff for the Game Awards? Like, how does that work?
It would be in consideration for this year. I just don't think it's going to meet the standard.
No. What I'm saying is how would they judge it? Would they judge it based on how it launched or how it is? You see what I'm saying?
Oh, if it can have a redemption arc.
Yes, because
if it gets a lot of good buzz by the time the Game Awards roll around and it's on everybody's mind, I see.
That's my confusion. Like, how do you judge? Because a lot of content for that game will be coming this year. It's a live service game, and we're getting features that weren't there. So, like, I don't know.
I don't like it.
Here's what happens. It doesn't get the Game of the Year nom. It gets one of those like best ongoing games.
Yeah, but how do you
maybe a best shooter or something?
But how do you do best ongoing game when it was only eligible just that first year? You see what I'm saying? Like, it was just eligible that year. I don't know. It's confusing.
That's for Dan.
I think that is for Dan to worry about.
No, that's for Jeff.
He'll worry enough for all of us. I think best ongoing is a safe bet. Definitely not game of the year, because 2 things: 1, it launched very poorly, and 2,
it didn't launch poorly. Let's not say that.
Well, I mean, not in terms of like there are features in the game that don't work.
It didn't launch that way, though, to be fair. Big Team Battle is broken right now completely.
And
like,
theater mode has been broken from day one.
Yeah, fair.
When are they going to patch it to make it fun? That is it for your podcast PXN 22 video game predictions. Let me recap you the predictions actually before. Almost forgot to do that before I started signing off. Starting with Daniel. Starfield will get delayed into 2023. The Coalition reveals a brand new IP taking a break from Gears, although the next Gears still is in development. And then lastly, PlayStation announces Uncharted 5, not named 5, and it will star Nathan Drake's daughter. A CG teaser will announce the game. Ro's 3 predictions were the Mario Odyssey team unveils their new game, whether or not it's a Donkey Kong game or Mario Odyssey 2. We'll wait and see, but they will release their next game. Unveil their next game. Atlas finally unveils Project Re Fantasy. We get a look at that because it seems like Ro thinks it's pretty much done now, or close to done. So we want to see it. Is he talking? Is he muted?
Sorry, yeah, at least time for announcement. The first trailer we got was such a teaser that it was basically nothing, but I think we're finally going to get an announcement for real.
And lastly, a new Nintendo Online game will come out in 2022. Hopefully it will be a Zelda game, dungeon crawler. That would be fantastic. Christian, me. Breath of the Wild 2 does not release this year. Bloodborne PS5 remaster plus PC port happens. 60 frames per second, let's go. And lastly, Naughty Dog announces a new game this fall. It is a new IP. Gauges through predictions. Redfall comes out and it's good. And what is the parameters for good? Well, it means a good Metacritic score and some online buzz surrounding the game. TLOU 2 Remake comes out this year. First PlayStation game that comes day and date with PC, which is a very bold prediction, and I like it. And lastly, 3 Xbox Capture gets overhauled. Clips, party chat, audio, editing, etc., etc. All right.
I want to make a correction. My prediction is that Redfall comes out and it quote unquote absolutely slaps. And
Certified banger. Thank you again to everyone joining us live over on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter, as well as podcast services everywhere, including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, SoundCloud, Spotify, and Stitcher. Thank you, Ro. Thank you, Christian. I don't know. Why do I keep doing that? Thank you, Gage. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, you folks. And this has been Podcast PXN, and we are out. Dan.
Much love and keep on gaming.
Huh? Oh, yeah? Oh.